Hey, what's up? You downloaded a brand new episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo, and as always, I am your host, Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 24. And if this is your first time joining me, welcome to the show, and if it's not, welcome back, because this week we are talking about what was a monumental day in professional wrestling. Of course, we are breaking down all Elite Wrestling's Dynamite, NXT. I'm going to give you guys what to watch on What to Watch For segment, and also going to give you guys performers and floppers of the week. But before we get started, guys, I want to give you a quick reminder to head on over to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. You can find us there at Speaking Wrestling. You can also follow us on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle, and also find us over on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling. All right, guys. What a night it was. October 2nd, 2019. The biggest night in professional wrestling history, set across the board throughout social media. And I gotta agree, guys, it was the biggest night in professional wrestling. I've been a fan of professional wrestling for over 22 years now, and I definitely gotta say that there was something in the air last night. I felt the buzz, and I gotta say that it is a great time to be a professional wrestling fan. It's been said that all across the board that as well this week, and it is indeed. But let's get started, guys, and let's get started with the show I decided to watch first. Because if you're going to go nostalgic on this shit, you got to go all the way. So a little bit of nostalgia, AEW going first, and then WWE NXT going second. That's the way that I will be going forward, watching these shows every Wednesday. Because to me, back in the day and on the living on the West Coast, WCW would come on at 5 p.m. and then WWE Raw would come in 9 p.m. for me on the West Coast. So I thought, again, if you're really going to go nostalgia with this, go in all the way. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, Episode 1 of Dynamite was live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., Capital One Center. And as they open up the show, you saw an amazing shot of a live crowd. And guys, right away, I got to say that the presentation, the atmosphere, the aesthetics of the arena felt phenomenal. I enjoyed this. This one thing about AEW that really hits the nail is their presentation of the staging, the lighting, and what comes through the lenses is phenomenal job by AEW. And what appeared to be a very hot crowd to start off this show, we go straight into Cody Rhodes with Brandy Rhodes competing against the very young up-and-comer Sammy Guevara. And I am now not a stranger to Sammy Guevara's work. I've seen him work in MLW, and he's been associated with Conan in the past. So going into this match, I've already been interested in what I'm about to see. And this match, from the moment it started, was incredible. Sammy Guevara, very early on, establishing himself as the snobby heel, and Cody Rhodes early on establishing himself as a top babyface and getting a lot of cheers because he is one part of the reason of AEW's success thus far. And this was a great match, and it was, I gotta be honest, it was quite kind of long, but very entertaining. I very much like the work that Sammy was doing. Like I said, to many people, this might have been the first time they ever see him work, but he is no stranger to making himself known. And in this match, he did. There was a great dive by Cody Rhodes through the ropes and into his wife, Brandy, as she was pulled into by Sammy. Good stuff there. This match did kind of run a little bit long, and it started turning into one of those matches where it's a lot of false finishes, and it starts going a little bit too long. Cody gets a victory win here after Sammy goes for, it looks to be a 450, gets the legs up, and gets the 1, 2, 3. And after the match, it's really where all things broke down as Cody was attacked by Chris Jericho, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, making his presence already known early on the show. And to me, guys, I think this is where, personally, I think the show, for me, already hit a bad turn going into this. And it's somewhere at this moment where they go to a commercial break or they go to the split screen, however you're reviewing. Some people got both. They got either a commercial break or they got the split screen action with the commercial. And however you want to put it, guys, to me, I really felt that early on, this was where I lost the edge of AEW. And it's one of the concerns going into their show that I thought they might be facing. They've had previous issues about timing their pay-per-views, and now that you bring in commercials on a network television like this, how are they going to manage the timing of the show and the timing of the ads that they have to run during the broadcast? And, AEW must have got the memo from an inside source, and these days, these inside sources, it's like an Interpol, man, working through this, and they must have got the information that NXT was going to go 30 minutes commercial-free the first half hour of their broadcast. So I think AEW was thinking that they needed to do the same, but I think it backfired because during what was the hottest angle of the night, with the AEW World Heavyweight Champion and Cody Rhodes picking up what was a tremendous win for Cody Rhodes, to cut to a commercial break while so much is going on in the ring with Chris and Cody. And I just think of the missed opportunities of the audio that they could have had with JR calling some of the stuff that was going down. But they came back from the commercial or the split screen, however you guys were viewing it. And very quickly, it seemed like they were trying to get Chris Jericho on the mic to cut a promo. And all he really said was, "I'm Chris Jericho," to the crowd. You know, I think we needed a little bit more from Chris Jericho. I also think that he should have been holding up the World Heavyweight Championship as he was walking up the ramp and, you know, cut that very short one-line promo from Chris. Very strange, but I do got to say, guys, I think that time restriction and them deciding to go to a commercial at the peak of Chris Jericho's attack post-match, I think was a critical move by AEW, and I think one that really set them back for what was a good moment, really, when they were cutting to that commercial. And that match, you know, it did run a little bit too long. That about the maybe 8:20 mark, I think they should have took a commercial break at that time, come back for the end of the match where Cody gets the pin, and then do the post-match attack and have JR, Tony, calling it, and also give Jericho that time to cut a promo longer than what he gave us that night. But all in all, I really think that opening match for AEW between Cody and Sammy, great way to kick off a promotion. I really enjoyed that match, and I think that was probably the biggest match of the night going forward, however you decide. But I really enjoyed that match. Up next, we had Brandon Cutler taking on MJF. And again, MJF is someone that I am no stranger to, as he is MLW Tag Team Champion, one half Tag Team Champion. And he took on Brandon Cutler, who I am my first time seeing Brandon Cutler. And from what I've known from the commentary is that he's a very close personal friend of the Young Bucks, and which gives me an idea why he got his job and why he's in this position. But other than that, I think this was just a very basic showcasing. It's pushing the star MJF and getting him over as a heel. I think he picked up some much more heat from that DC audience and from everybody watching at home. And hello MJF, as everybody was introduced to him. He did a tremendous job. He's a star no matter what, on the mic, off the mic, whether he's on the camera or backstage or doing a meet and greet. The guy's amazing. Brandon Cutler, on the other hand, I don't know if he was legitimately injured or he suffered something during the match, but you know, it was very obvious on screen that when he went up to the top rope to perform a move that he couldn't stand up there. So either he couldn't hold his own up there because of an injury sustained. I don't know about that, but look, the first match for these two guys to go out there on a spot like this was, they did what they needed to do. They got MJF over, and Brandon Cutler, look, it's a loss, but I think he gained some fans by going out there and putting on a great effort. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from him and also MJF. And on to what I got to say was my favorite part of the entire show was this SCU DC kind of vignette that they cut standing out there on the front lawn of the White House. Great stuff. These guys are great on their timing. Their charisma is great. And then they cut into them being on stage and being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And this is great stuff too. I think these guys on the mic, whether it's a vignette style promo, shoot somewhere else, or it's in front of a live audience like they were here at the Capital One Center, these guys are amazing. And like I said, charisma is coming out of these guys' assholes. I love this. And they were interrupted by, you know, what I got to say is my favorite tag team in AEW and who I believe will be the breakout superstars, whether they stick together as a tag team or individually, the Lucha Brothers. And they came out here and cut a very short but very efficient promo to SCU. These guys face off in the tag team tournament that will be starting next week on AEW Dynamite. I look forward to this match. This was my favorite part of the whole show. You got Dean Malenko coming out, breaking these guys apart. I love it. I really enjoyed this segment. This is the type of action that I think AEW can really harness and capitalize on, that will get, the attention of the audience, watching at home. I enjoy this so much. And on to the next thing, something I enjoyed very much, Pac versus Hangman Adam Page. This was a very great match. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see this sooner than we could have, but we got to see it here on the very first show of AEW Dynamite, and I think this was a great call to give it. This was about the halfway point of the show, and great match. Adam Page, who came off his defeat to Chris Jericho at All Out for the very first ever AEW championship, had a very good outing this match with Pac, and Pac being a great veteran, his first time being able to show who he truly is on a live audience since being gone from the WWE. This was a great outing for him as well, and these two guys had a tremendous match. Again, I think there might be some criticism going to Earl Hebner, but I think the officiating was a little bit, not as par as they could have been tonight. We'll talk about that some more. But this was a great match for these two individuals, and Pac picked up a great victory. And, once again, Pac, without really going out there and getting on the mic and really, expressing himself, really came out as the top heel of this company. And I really like that. He's a very natural heel, and he's a great fit. And again, great match by both of these two guys. On to crowning the very first AEW Women's Champion, Riho taking on Nyla Rose. This was another really long match. Ran a little bit too long for what these two women can deliver. I think it maybe exceeded their limit, and you can tell that they were a little bit winded throughout the match. But I think, heck, that adds some true grit to what these women are capable of doing. And I enjoyed this match too. I do got to say, Nyla Rose, she's great. She's got tremendous strength, and she's going up against, an opponent like Riho. Quite the difference in the weight and height, but Riho really came out showing her true guns on this, and Riho coming up, your first ever AEW Women's Champion. Congratulations to her. The crowd was very into this. At the end of the match, Riho was being interviewed by Nakasawa when Nyla Rose took it upon herself to attack him. And, she tried a powerbomb. She had to go for a second time. She clutched it and nailed it. But again, look, I think there's major improvements. I think this was a good call to go with Riho. She's over with the audience. And, her matches are great. And Britt Baker looks to be her first opponent. And I don't know what was going on with her. She was over on commentary, and it sounded more like she was doing color commentary than actually being out there and scoping this match out. And on to the main event, as Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks would take on Chris Jericho and the team formerly known as LAX. And this was a six-man tag. Great match. Halfway throughout this match, Jon Moxley made an appearance, and he attacked Kenny Omega. They fought throughout the Capital One Center, and they went over to this area that looked like a VIP lounge. And Jon Moxley performed what he calls the Death Rider on Kenny Omega through a glass table. And really got to question if that was a really good idea from Jon Moxley coming off of that MRSA surgery on his elbow. So, but I know reports have come out anything about that. But if you're going to be doing this every single week, I think you need to tone it down. But again, back in the ring, the action continued on a 3-on-2. Chris Jericho gets the win, and post-match, out comes Cody Rhodes, out comes Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara comes out, and out comes Jake Hager. Yeah, Jake Hager. You might know him as Jack Swagger in the WWE. Makes his AEW debut here, crashing in the party, and what looks to be a 5-man stable. And I think I said it, maybe months ago, I think Chris Jericho could really benefit at this point in his career by leading a stable. It's the one thing Chris Jericho has not done in his career. And I mean lead a stable, lead like a DX, like an Evolution, like an NWO. And I think this is what we are seeing in AEW. Chris is actually leading a stable. It's not yet been confirmed that this is a group and there's a name attached to it. But I gotta say, if that is, it would be tremendous for everybody involved. Chris Jericho won. Like I said, this is something he's never done. And one, this would benefit him in the long run with his career. He doesn't have to wrestle every single week. He can still be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, cut promos, make appearances, and the talent that is surrounded around Chris Jericho would benefit so much just from being associated with a living legend like Chris himself. So I think forming a stable right now in AEW, being led by the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho, not a bad idea. And for AEW's first night, episode 1 of All Elite Dynamite on TNT, I think it was a tremendous show. I enjoyed it. There were some mishaps throughout the show. Referees not calling a DQ when Jon Moxley comes in right in front of the referee. And again, like I said earlier, with the commercial breaks just at the wrong time that I thought. Other than that, this show was tremendous. Great night for AEW. Great night for wrestling. And a quick reminder, guys, if you want to get on the action, have any questions, suggestions for the podcast, want to shout out here on the podcast, you can follow me over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. I have put up some live polls and I put up some questions. Go ahead and leave your comment there. And also find me over on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling. Let's move on over to NXT, live from Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. An opening promo. You hear the voice of Corey Taylor, lead singer of Slipknot, leading in the charge as this show right away kicks off with the NXT Heavyweight Championship match between Matt Riddle and Adam Cole. And this match, my goodness, this match is Match of the Year candidate in my book. I enjoyed this. These two men put on a hell of a barn burner to kick off this evening. To me, this is Adam Cole's best performance. Personally, many will say that it's Johnny Gargano and Cole, but I got to say this is Cole's best performance and also Matt Riddle's performance that I've seen to date. I got to hand it to Matt Riddle. He came up short on this one. Adam Cole picked up a victory, but man, go back and watch that. Matt Riddle's facials, his expressions, his body language, his ring awareness was just off the hook. I enjoyed it. You can definitely feel it there. And it wasn't over there because as Adam Cole was celebrating, we were all stunned to see the return of Finn Balor back in NXT. And he said it himself that as of this day, Finn Balor is NXT. What a moment it was in Full Sail inside the NXT arena. Welcome back, Finn Balor, the longest reigning NXT champion, as he looked into the eyes of the current NXT champion. Boy, is this a matchup I cannot wait to see. We were also given the presence of the one, the only Velveteen Dream, as he cut a very great promo on stage. And I got to say, I love the aesthetics as well as on this. The WWE does a tremendous job with their lighting, their staging, their presentation of their characters. Velveteen putting out the challenge to Roderick Strong for that North American Championship. Great job from Velveteen Dream. And look, a promo. I think the discussion for the first 2 episodes of NXT going live on Wednesdays was all wrestling and not enough promos. And I think AEW went with the approach of all wrestling and no promos. I think this was the true first promo of the new era, and of who else to give it but the Velveteen Dream. I enjoy this. Good kudos to the Velveteen Dream for a great promo. Moving on, we got Io Shirai taking on Mia Yim in what was a good match. Io picking up another great victory, and Io looking tremendous as always. Up next, we had Johnny Gargano taking on Shane Thorne in what was a good television match. I think this was a good opportunity for Shane Thorne to show what he's made of, going up against someone who is considered Mr. NXT. Great match, but Johnny Gargano picks up a win, looking strong here. Also on NXT, we saw a vignette of Kushida challenging Walter. That match coming up soon. We also saw Tegan Nox, a vignette for her coming soon. I really enjoy this. WWE really stepped it up this week with featuring superstars that are not making an appearance on screen this week, but you can get excited now about seeing them in the upcoming weeks. Up next, we had our NXT women's title being defended. Shayna Baszler going up against Candice LeRae. If there was no Matt Riddle and Adam Cole already on this show, I got to say that to me, this was the match of the night for NXT. Shayna Baszler once again comes through with a victory, but Candice, my goodness, did she have the performance of a lifetime here against Shayna? I cannot wait to see a rematch. I really hope that there's a rematch between these two, and I think it might be Candice's time. She really put up a good fight against Shayna, and if not Candice, a rematch with Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. Pete Dunne made an appearance here as he beat Danny Burch in what also was a great television match, but it was more about what happened post-match to the winner, Pete Dunne, as he was attacked by Damian Priest. Damian Priest making his official debut on primetime TV, and I really like this. I think if you give us a matchup between Damian Priest and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, I cannot wait for that. A good big man taking on a much smaller man, but a much smaller man that always brings a fight like Pete Dunne. I'm excited for this. And on to our main event of the evening. The NXT Tag Team Championships were defended tonight as the Street Profits being accompanied to the ring by Wale versus the Undisputed Era, the Tag Team Champions, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. Great match. Another tag team match. It cannot be said that, these guys don't come up and show up. Street Profits, tremendous work throughout this match, but it was Undisputed Era's night once again as they retain the Tag Team Championships. And Undisputed Era closes out the night, the first night of the 2-hour show on USA. The Undisputed Era celebrates with all the gold. Out comes Adam Cole, the NXT Heavyweight Champion, but also the returning former NXT World Heavyweight Champion, the man who had to relinquish his NXT Championship, Tommaso Ciampa. And boy, did Tommaso Ciampa's eyes never let go of that NXT Championship until he went around the current champion, Adam Cole. Could Adam Cole be looking into the eyes of his next opponent for his NXT Championship? Or will Finn Balor join the fold? We'll find out next week on NXT. Guys, what a week it was for professional wrestling as it comes to an end the very first week. Look, it doesn't matter what show you like, what show you're going to be a shill for. Just enjoy it. And I believe that is up to us in the wrestling community that want to keep this community free of any negativity. We got to silence those that spew out negativity. Don't give him any likes. Don't give him any retweets. Don't even comment on them. Let them go silent. Let those tweets go silent. Let those posts go silent. And I think we should expose those that look to get in an argument with somebody. Personally, I enjoyed both shows, and it's no secret that I am more of a WWE shill, but I am giving AEW a fair chance because I want them to succeed. And coming off of this first week, guys, I enjoyed it. I had a very good time watching two brands on primetime television this week. But before we get to next Wednesday, I'm going to give you guys something to watch, and this is our What to Watch segment. MLW Fusion is on this weekend. Guys, be sure to check your local listings. And if you have PlayStation View and have BN Sports, be sure to check out MLW. All right, guys, and it's time for a Performers and Floppers of the Week segment. This is where I give you guys my MVPs and Floppers of the Week. My MVP for this week is Pac. That's right. Pac had a tremendous outing this week. Great match. Great victory from him. But I got to say, what really did it for me in giving him the MVP this week is from the moment that you saw him walk out on the stage, he looked and felt like a star. And as soon as they got cut from his match, after the match, he was a star in the ring and on the camera. So Pac is my MVP. And other close notables, I got to say, Tony Schiavone was very good on commentary. I think he really held a commentary table with the rest of them there. And also, like I spoke about it on the show, Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle with his facials. So those were my close notables for MVPs. And on to Flopper of the Week. This is where I give you guys my Flopper of the Week. Just somebody who didn't do it for me this week. And this week, it's Mia Yim. She picked up a loss this week against Io Shirai. And what just didn't do it for me, guys, was During the match, it was very notable that during her comebacks, it looked like she looked a little bit lost out there. And I think that's just something that she needs to be more aware of. Nothing about her in-ring work, but I definitely saw it this week on TV. All right, guys, and with that being said, thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Speaking Wrestling. Before we get out of here, another quick reminder to head on over to our YouTube page. Look us up at Speaking Wrestling. You can also follow us on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle and Instagram at Speaking Wrestling. This has been episode 24 of Speaking Wrestling. Be sure to join me next Wednesday for episode 25 as I break down SmackDown, Hell in a Cell, and Raw. Do it again next week, guys. Bye-bye.